What is personal finance and what does it mean to you? And I mean actually you. When you search for information regarding personal finance, you quickly get answers to start budgeting, investing, don't get coffee on the go, and avocados are the devil's work. Some even tell you just spend less than you make and you'll be just fine. Well, all of this is good advice, except maybe give some slack to the avocados. You always have to consider your own preferences and what are your goals. Life looks really different to an 80-year-old living at home, maybe getting their first job, to a 35-year-old parent of two living in their own house. I have heard arguments that there is no difference if you're 18 or 35. Money works the same way. But the thing is, money is just a tool. Ways to spend it are as many as people spending it. There simply is no one formula to solve personal finance. So the question is, what are your goals and how to use this tool to achieve them? This is where it gets interesting. Let's have a look at some of the most common concepts used in personal finance and see how these could be maybe used in your situation. I will cover 4 main building blocks that I have found to be the most crucial in personal finance. All of these concepts I will cover in much greater detail later on in separate videos, but I want to make it clear that all of these concepts depend so much on your own preferences and goals you have set. First concept I want to talk about is budgeting. The B word. This brings some mixed feelings amongst us, because quite often it's so that people either hate it, love it, fear it, or see it as a total waste of time. I've been working in personal finance for some time now, and fear is the thing that you see quite often being the barrier to starting to budget your finances. The fear of tracking every move you make with your money, or the fact that starting to go through your expenses when you might know that it's not pretty while having financial issues. Another aspect is also the feeling that all fun from life is gone when you start tracking your money. What people quite often forget to include into their budget is, well, the fun budget. Never forget to budget fun into your life when creating a budget. Unfortunately, the truth is, not many of us are able to keep our finances in check without some type of a budget. For many of us, keeping emotions and impulse buying in check is a constant battle without clear boundaries that the budget creates. Budgeting is a powerful tool and a necessity if you want to get your finances in order. How I see budgeting is that it is a tool to get the most out of your income and keep you floating so that financial crash and burns won't happen. This comes especially handy when your expense and income ratio is close to 1, because a slight shift in another might make us go overboard. I would like to argue that budgeting is something we can all benefit from. The difference comes, where do we actually use it? It could be that we're trying to get the initial understanding where our expenses are, or that we need to restructure our finances to be able to afford a larger purchase, or just in general having an overview of our finances. All this comes to the question again, what are your preferences, which stage of life you're in, and what are your goals? Next concept is investing. First thing I would like to mention is that investing is something you should include to your budget as soon as possible and never stop doing it unless really forced to. This is due to compounding that creates more and more higher returns on your investments over time. Investing is something that should be looked at as a long-term wealth creation, not as a get-rich-quick action. We humans are really bad at predicting how the market goes, and certain volatility is always part of it. Even the financial experts in the world have a really low success rate at seeing how the market works. They know that something is cooking, but nobody knows when it's ready and what are they having. The market goes up and down, but the total market value tends to go up over time. This is the reason why starting as soon as possible becomes the key for wealth creation. The main question with investing is, how actively do you want to be involved in it? Do you want to, for example, be actively flipping houses? Or do you want to just invest into index funds and let the compounding do its work in the background? Your personal interest in investing actually determines in the end how should you invest. Investing is something I don't see as an action you do for something specific, except long-term wealth creation. You don't need plans or goals to do it. The main thing is you include it in your financial plans as soon as possible, and the usage and the need will come later on. But as always, all this depends on your personal preferences, and do not let anybody else tell you otherwise. Investing can be done in so many different ways, and it has to suit your goals and your lifestyle, not anyone else's. Topic number 3, savings. This is where we're mixing some short-term goals into our financial planning. Savings have two main functions: be the backup for a rainy day, or something that we increase so that we can afford to do a larger purchase or an activity we like to do. Savings are usually targeted for something more specific purpose. Maybe it's a new bike that you would like, or maybe the TV is a bit small for your liking. Save the amount and go to the store and pick it up. But even if you don't have anything specific you would like to save for currently, I would still recommend you to increase savings by some amount, because suddenly you might have funded a family trip you'd like to go for just by putting some extra aside every month. But this is again heavily dependent on your goals and preferences in the big picture. Maybe you don't want to save for anything specific currently and want to invest all the extra that you have. One part of savings is called an emergency fund. What this means that you have an amount of money saved that covers your living expenses for some time, just in case if your income stops flowing. Many people say that this should cover 3 to 6 months living costs. But according to research done lately, in many fields, getting a full-time job currently takes 6 to 7 months on average. So the 3 months savings might not always cut it. But this is heavily dependent on which field you work in. So make sure you're aware of how the market looks like before you decide on how much you plan to save. Topic number 4. This is in my opinion the most important part of personal finance. Goals. You might have noticed that I mentioned quite a few times your goals or preferences. The reason being that how I see it is that your goals and preferences are the main drivers in your personal finance. Everyday life, expenses and income, they come and go. But your goals and preferences are the ones that have the largest impact on your personal finance in the end. Do you have long-term goals of, for example, buying a summer cottage? And does your financial planning actually support this? If you do not have long-term goals yet, are you able to save for the short-term goals of buying, for example, a new bike or a TV? Or is your impulse buying actually eating up the money for this? Goals and priorities are in the end the thing that makes or breaks our personal finance. Why I say this is the most important part is because making clear goals and priorities is made really hard for us in the world we live in currently. We are bombarded with advertising about things we apparently need and want. And social media is filled with these glorious lives that everybody else has, except you. We're constantly reminded about the fact that whatever we do is never enough. We always need to get more. This is why our goals and priorities are not always even ours. It's just an image of a better life that is fed for us. The reason why I bring this up is because this is where personal finances tend to start breaking. Debt gets totally out of control when we're facing these goals that are not always truly what we want even. Even if it feels like a bit of an odd concept, please take a step back and think through, are your goals that you're working for truly what you want? Now that we have gone through some of the main building blocks of personal finance, please leave a comment below with the answer to what does personal finance actually mean to you. Also hit the like and subscribe button while you're at it, and also visit visilmis.com where you can find all this content in a written form also. I'll leave a link in the description below. But is this a new thing for you? Or would you like to understand it better? Or do you already have a clear system where investing, savings and budgeting is an everyday thing for you? In this case, are the goals clear for you? And have you made sure that the goals that you're working for are actually what you want in the big picture? Thank you and see you in the next one.